Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something that's, well, it shot up the agenda, hasn't it? AI accountability.
It really has.
Yeah, I mean, AI is everywhere now. And that big question, who's responsible when it messes up, it's not just theory anymore.
Not at all.
Like, if an AI system makes a bad call, who carries the can? Is it even possible to hold a machine, responsible? And what rights do we have when AI gets it wrong for us?
These are exactly the tricky questions we're digging into. We're using the report Navigating AI Accountability and Responsibility as our guide today. It really maps out this complex area pretty well.
Okay, so our mission here is to pull out the really key stuff from that report. We want to clarify what AI accountability is all about, the big challenges, without hopefully making your head spin.
Right. We want to give you a solid grasp of why this matters so much right now.
Perfect. So let's start right there. What exactly is AI accountability? What's the core idea?
Okay, so fundamentally, AI accountability means taking ownership for what AI systems do, their actions, their outcomes, and importantly, their wider impact on society.
Ownership. Okay.
Yeah, and the report really hammers home the need for, crystal clear lines of responsibility. Who does what? Who answers for what? Right through the whole AI process, from the first idea to it being used every day.
So it's not just about the AI's final action, but the whole chain leading up to it and knowing who's responsible at each link.
Precisely. The OECD, for example, they talk about embedding accountability at every single stage. Development, deployment, operation.
Makes sense.
And they stress traceability, too. That's being able to track everything the data used, the steps the algorithm took, the decisions made along the way.
Like a forensic trail almost. If something goes wrong, you need that trail.
Exactly that. You need to trace it back. And accountability, as the report points out, it means humans have to be answerable for their part in it all.
Humans, not the machine itself.
Right. People designing it, people using it. They need to be able to stand up and justify the decisions the AI supports or makes.
Okay, so we're not trying to put the AI on trial because, well, that doesn't work. It's about the people, the companies behind it.
That's the crucial bit. The report says accountability answers those big business questions. Who's on the hook for AI decisions? What checks and balances are actually in place? And critically, how easy is it to understand why the AI did what it did?
Yeah, I can see that. For trust, right. And your brand's reputation. No one wants to deal with a black box they can't question.
Absolutely. And it links directly to legal risks, ethical duties. The ITI framework mentioned in the report actually talks about this shared responsibility developers, deployers, and even integrators.
Integrators, who are they?
Sort of the people or companies that help put the AI into practice, bridging the gap between the lab and the real world.
Got it. Okay, so that paints a clearer picture of the what. But why is this such a huge deal right now?
Well, the report argues it's absolutely fundamental for building trust. Trust between everyone involved, developers, users, the public.
Without trust, people just won't use it, right? Or they'll resist it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Accountability gives us a way to sort out problems when they happen, and it's really key to unlocking AI's potential benefits. If we don't trust it, we hold back.
So it's not just a nice to have, it's essential.
Totally. The report positions it as a core ethical principle, right up there with fairness, privacy, security, transparency. If you don't have accountability, you're looking at major operational risks, legal trouble, huge damage to your reputation.
Think about a self-driving car accident with no clear fault.
Yeah.
Chaos?
Precisely.
Yeah.
So accountability underpins all that responsible AI stuff. It helps companies build trust, keep it, and also, importantly, keep up with the regulations that are coming down the track.
And without it, people might just say, no thanks to AI altogether.
Yeah, you risk rejection or just really limited use, which holds back progress.
Makes total sense. Trust is everything. Now, you mentioned terms that often get mixed up. Responsibility, liability, accountability. The report tries to separate these.
It does, and it's a really useful distinction. Accountability, it says, is mainly an ethical or moral thing. It means being able to give reasons, justify actions, and take steps to fix things or improve for the future.
So being answerable, basically, and committed to doing better.
That's a good way to put it. Liability, that's specifically about the legal consequences. Who gets sued? What are the penalties? It's the legal angle.
Okay.
And responsibility is broader. It's just the link you caused something to happen. Whether that has ethical, moral, or legal implications comes after.
Right. So accountability kind of wraps it all up. It includes being responsible, potentially facing liability, but adds that ethical layer of explaining and improving.
That nails it. The report suggests accountability is the best word because it covers making sure that AI works properly and being able to show that it does.
Right.
That includes being answerable, explaining things, and yes, potentially facing consequences if you mess up.
Okay, got it. But making this actually happen, building this accountability, it sounds challenging. What are the big roadblocks?
Yeah, the report points out some major ones. Top of the list is probably the black box problem.
Ah, yes, the mystery machine.
Exactly. Many advanced AI models, especially deep learning ones with all those complex layers, it's incredibly hard to see how they reach a decision. It's not always step-by-step logic we can easily follow.
So you can't easily pinpoint why it did what it did.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that lack of transparency really gets in the way of accountability. If you don't understand the why, how do you spot errors? How do you oversee it properly? Bad stuff could be happening algorithmically and you wouldn't even know.
And then you've got the fact that AI isn't usually built and used by just one person or company.
That's the second big challenge.
Yeah.
Responsibility is spread out.
Mm.
You've got developers, data providers, the companies using the AI, the end users.
Mm.
They all play a part.
So accountability gets diluted.
It can, yeah. It makes it really tricky to figure out who's actually at fault when something goes wrong. It's like a tangled web. Think about an AI used in hiring. If it shows bias, is it the developer, the company for how they used it, the data it was trained on?
Good point. It's rarely simple.
Definitely not. And then there's the fact that AI changes. It learns.
Right, it's not static.
Exactly. AI systems adapt over time based on new data. So their decision-making changes. Trying to figure out why it made a mistake later on can be tough because the AI isn't the same as it was when it was first deployed, especially with autonomous systems that learn a lot on their own.
Like trying to blame the teacher for what a student does years later, after they've learned loads more independently.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And finally, the report talks about an accountability gap. AI isn't human. It doesn't have morals. Its decisions don't automatically come with a justification.
So the buck stops with the humans involved.
It has to. We have this deep need to understand why harm occurred and who's responsible. That's hard with AI, especially opaque AI. It creates this moral gap we need humans to fill through oversight and clear responsibility.
These are definitely big hurdles. Okay, so practically speaking, when AI does go wrong, who actually ends up being responsible?
Well, the report is clear. It's shared, it's distributed, it depends. But we can break down the roles.
Okay.
First, AI developers and the companies selling AI. Their job starts with responsible design, trying to build systems that are fair, safe, minimize bias. They need to be upfront about risks, test rigorously, provide good documentation.
Get the foundations right.
Absolutely. And manage the data well, quality, security, bias checks.
Okay, what about the organizations using the AI, putting it out there?
Big responsibility there, too. They need clear rules on how it should be used. They need to understand the potential impact, have plans for when things go wrong, risk management.
So impact assessments, monitoring.
Yes, ongoing monitoring is key. Testing it with real-world data before launching fully, keeping records. And critically, ensuring there's human oversight, especially for anything high risk. They also need to make sure the data being fed into it is relevant and appropriate.
They're accountable for the how and the what happens next.
Precisely. Then you have the individual users, maybe managers, overseeing teams using AI.
What's their role?
They need to understand what the AI can and can't do, use it properly for its intended purpose. Managers need to train their people, keep an eye on how it's being used.
So not just blindly trust the output.
Definitely not. Healthy skepticism, critical thinking, providing feedback when it's not working right, that's all part of it.
Okay, anyone else?
Data providers. The people supplying the information used to train the AI, they're responsible for data quality, accuracy, making sure it was sourced ethically, respecting privacy rules.
Garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Essentially, yes. And finally, regulatory bodies, governments, agencies. Their job is setting the rules of the road, enforcing them, protecting the public, making sure AI is used ethically.
So it really takes a village, huh? Everyone has a piece of the accountability puzzle.
That's the picture the report paints. Now, it also talks about how we can actually build and enforce this accountability. What are the tools?
Right, the mechanisms. One thing that comes up constantly is transparency and explainability. XAI, how does that help?
It's huge. XAI is about making it possible to understand how the AI works, why it made a specific decision. This helps check for fairness, find biases, build trust.
If you can see the reasoning, you can spot problems.
Exactly. It makes it much easier to diagnose issues and figure out who needs to be accountable. The report even suggests we might see regulations setting standards for explainability, though there's sometimes a tension there, between being transparent and protecting commercial secrets.
Ah, yeah. Trade secrets versus openness. Tricky balance.
It is. Another key mechanism is auditability.
Like auditing financial records.
Sort of, yeah. It's about being able to show you've been responsible all through the design, development, use of the AI, and being able to justify the outcomes. It links back to that traceability idea, keeping good records.
Documenting everything?
Pretty much. Things like MLs, which is like DevOps, but for machine learning, help create these audit trails. They let you track changes to models, see how they evolved. Super important for accountability and fixing things. We might even see mandatory AI audits down the line.
A regular checkup for algorithms? Makes sense.
Then there are risk assessment frameworks. Basically, a structured way to think about what could go wrong with an AI system at every stage and how to manage those risks.
Being proactive, not just reactive.
Exactly. Frameworks from places like ITI and MIST offer guidance. Doing impact assessments helps predict potential negative effects before they happen. Much better than cleaning up a mess later.
Absolutely. What else?
Human oversight. Cannot stress this enough. The report emphasizes keeping humans in the loop, especially for important decisions.
The final say, or at least the ability to intervene.
Right. It's a safety net. A core ethical principle, really.
Yeah.
Humans need to be able to step in if the AI fails or does something unexpected or wrong.
Okay. And the law. Legal frameworks.
Essential. Laws set the clear boundaries, the rules, the penalties. They define what's acceptable in AI design and use. We're seeing legal concepts like negligence and product liability being adapted for AI.
Adapting old laws to new tech.
Yeah, and new laws emerging too.
Yep.
The EU AI Act is a huge example, setting specific rules and accountability requirements based on risk levels. It's quite different from the U.S. approach, which is more sector by sector right now.
Interesting contrast. So the legal landscape is definitely shifting.
Rapidly. And finally, the report stresses ethics, ethical guidelines, company policies. Accountability needs to be built on strong ethics, not just laws.
So company values, training, maybe specific roles.
Exactly. Clear guidelines for employees, plans for what to do when things go wrong, maybe even roles like a chief AI ethics officer or internal ethics committees looking specifically at AI, embedding ethics into the company culture around AI.
Right, making it part of the DNA. Okay, let's circle back to some of those initial questions you might have. Can AI actually be punished?
Yeah, it's a natural question. The report's clear. AI isn't sentient. It can't understand punishment like a person.
So no AI jail time?
No. But when an AI causes harm, we can intervene at the system level. We can deactivate it, retrain it, fix the algorithm, maybe pull it from use entirely if it's fundamentally flawed.
So the punishment is fixing or removing the problematic tool.
Correct. The focus then shifts to the humans, developers, deployers, users. They face the consequences. Legal action, fines, damage to the reputation, financial losses. They are held accountable for the AI's impact.
Got it. And when an AI makes a mistake, who's responsible? Sounds like the answer is, it depends.
That's pretty much it. It's shared, remember,
Yeah.
distributed across those different players. Who bears the most responsibility depends entirely on the specifics, what the AI was meant to do, how it was used, what exactly went wrong.
Context is key.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the law is still catching up to define this better. We're seeing this idea of shared accountability, where multiple parties might be held responsible to some degree.
Okay. What about truly autonomous AI, the really independent systems? That seems even trickier.
Oh, it is. That's probably the toughest challenge for accountability right now. When a system makes decisions with very little or no direct human input, figuring out who's responsible for its actions is incredibly complex.
Like self-driving cars making split-second choices, or AI in healthcare.
Exactly, those kinds of examples. The legal frameworks are really just starting to grapple with this. The focus, for now, tends to be on pushing for maximum transparency and traceability in how these autonomous systems work, and trying to build ethical safeguards right into their design from the start.
So trying to make them less of a black box, even if they are autonomous.
That's the goal. But it's definitely an area where the technology is outpacing the legal and ethical frameworks. It's still very much evolving.
Sounds like we're still figuring out the rules for that frontier.
That's a good way to put it. Now, the report does briefly touch on the role of regulations and standards more broadly.
Yeah, you mentioned the EU AI Act. It sounds like things are moving fast globally.
They really are. The EU Act is definitely the big one right now, the first comprehensive AI law. It uses that risk-based approach,
Mm.
stricter rules for high-risk AI, bans on stuff deemed unacceptable, big focus on transparency, human oversight, and clear accountability for providers and users.
So Europe's really trying to set a global standard there.
Seems that way. The U.S., as we touched on, is more fragmented. No single big AI law yet. You've got federal agencies using their existing powers, some proposed bills in Congress about accountability or bias, and then states like California and Colorado doing their own thing.
A patchwork approach, maybe?
For now, yes. Plus White House initiatives like the AI Bill of Rights blueprint. It's a different philosophy, perhaps more sector-specific.
Okay. And what about non-government groups?
Yeah, professional bodies like the IE and ACM are also stepping up. They're developing ethical guidelines, technical standards, really pushing for principles like accountability, transparency, fairness.
So engineers and computer scientists setting standards for their own field.
Exactly. It's coming from multiple directions.
Yeah.
Governments, industry, professional groups. Everyone recognizes the need for guardrails.
It's clearly a dynamic space. Well, this has been incredibly helpful, really unpacking a complex topic. As we wrap up, what are the absolute key takeaways on AI accountability?
I'd say first, it's complex but absolutely critical. It's not optional anymore. Second, responsibility is shared, involves developers, users, organizations, everyone in the chain. Third, there are real challenges, like the black box problem and the evolving nature of AI.
But we are developing ways to tackle those challenges.
Yes, mechanisms like transparency, auditability, risk management, human oversight, legal frameworks, ethical guidelines. These are all part of the solution toolkit, and they're constantly being improved.
And crucially, while we can't punish the AI, the focus is firmly on holding the people and organizations behind the AI accountable for its impact.
That's the bottom line. Accountability rests with us, the humans creating and deploying these powerful tools. And as AI gets more advanced, this whole conversation just becomes even more important.
Absolutely. So maybe the final thought for you listening. With AI moving so fast, how can you as an individual stay informed and maybe even help shape what responsible AI governance looks like in the future? It's worth thinking about the ethics when you interact with AI and maybe keeping an eye on how those regulations we talked about continue to develop. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
This is DigitView.